Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're in Newquay and we are going to explore around Newquay. I'm going to show you a bit around. I've come in here for over a decade now. I think it's been about 12 or 13 years since I first came here. My wife is from Newquay in Cornwall and it's right down the southwest of England. So right down the very, very bottom of the country. They even have a place called Land's End down here in Cornwall because it is basically the end of the land in the UK. And it's a great little place. I've really come to fall in love with this place over the years. And over the years I've seen it change a lot as well. There's been so many, just changes to the town, businesses coming and going. It's a very, very popular tourist destination here in the UK. I think there's some statistic, like I think they have around 20 to 30,000 residents here, permanent residents. But in summer it can swell to, I think it's like over 100,000 residents, temporary residents obviously. But yeah, it's a very, very popular place and for good reason. It's located on the north coast of Cornwall and it's a very, very picturesque area of the country. To be honest, when I first came here to the UK, I didn't actually realise that they had beaches like they do here, like golden sand beaches, amazing surf. It was just in my head from what I'd seen in pop culture. All I kind of seen of the UK in terms of like beaches and coastline was the pebbly beaches that you see in kind of grimy underbelly TV shows and things, and I think that's more like south of London or even like up north in the UK. But yeah, down here in Cornwall, beautiful golden sand beaches, amazing cliffs and coastline, and I'm going to take you to some of the places around Newquay today and show you why it's so popular. And I've got a little bit of a theory why I think it's so popular, particularly in summertime, because we're located on the north coast here in the UK, in Cornwall. We're on the north coast, so the sun in summer is right up behind our heads. North is that way, the sun's right there. So when you're looking down at the water, you get that sunlight, that direction right from behind you down into the water, and the water just looks incredible. When you've got beautiful white sand out there as well, it just glows beautiful turquoise blue. But the tide is right out at the moment, so we might not see it so much right now, but I'll take you around a little bit more, and maybe later on today you'll see some of those amazing turquoise blue colours. But we're on sort of like the main road in and out of Newquay now. This is heading north along the coast. They've got these buses, these double-decker buses, which are actually a really, really good way to get around. You can sit on the top and it goes up and down the north coast here in Cornwall. Amazing views of the coastline. Some of the roads that you can drive or just be a passenger on the bus are like really, really picturesque, and all just for a like £2 bus fare, which is pretty amazing. Obviously it's very, very busy at the moment, so I'm going to try and cross this road. So today's actually a bank holiday here in the UK, and it's very, very busy down here. You can see this is one of the beaches. It is just so beautiful. This is, the typical coastline here on the north coast here in Cornwall, and all the people down here for their holidays. A lot of people bring tents down here to sort of get a bit of shade from the sun. Windbreakers are very common here in the UK because it gets very windy. The tide as well. This is something that blew my mind when I first came here. You can see the tide mark on the beach, right? See where it kind of changes colours? That's where the tide comes in at high tide. It's low tide right now. It's about, I'd say it's at least 100 metres down the beach. But the water out there looks incredible. I'm probably going to jump in later on today with Charlotte, my wife. We like to go swimming off the rocks just over here. I'll take you around to a bit of a historical monument area, I guess. This is called the Barrow Fields up here. So we're right now just above Tolkien Beach, one of the great little coves here in Newquay. I think there's about 7 beaches in Newquay which you can choose from when you're having your holidays here. Tolkien is one of them, and most of them have a little like restaurant, accommodation, beach huts, things you can rent out for the summer, things like jet skis, surfboards, all that kind of thing. Tolkien is one of the good ones. It's got, you know, like accommodation there as well, but when the tide comes in, that little cove there is completely isolated from the other coves. But at high tide, what's really nice to do here in Newquay is you can walk all the way. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera. Right at the end there's the harbour, and you can walk all the way from the harbour all the way along the beach to one of the other great beaches here, Lusty Glaze, which I was actually at last night, and got to watch a touch rugby tournament. They had finals on there, and it all ended with a big fireworks display. It was really great, really wholesome. One of the local guys here in Newquay, one of the few who is actually from Newquay, who grew up here. He normally plays in it, but he invited me to come down and hang out, and we had a drink and watched the sports and watched everyone play. It was great. It was a really great atmosphere. But at the moment, on a bank holiday in Newquay, there's loads of things going on. We've just come from a festival, well, not just in Newquay, but in Cornwall in general. Bank holiday weekends are very, very popular for festivals and events. A lot of places plan them. Quite often you can get a lot of rain on the bank holiday weekend, but this weekend we're very, very lucky. We've got beautiful sunshine, nice warm weather, and I think this week it's going to turn again, so I wanted to get out and make the most of it. Now this area here, just next to Tolkien Beach, up on the cliff tops, is the Barrow Fields, and this is where they've found medieval remnants, or I guess archaeological findings. There's been like pottery. It's actually an old burial site, and because it has that the history there, they're not allowed to build here. So it's one of the locations in Newquay where you've got this beautiful wide open expanse. It's actually one of my favourite places to come and just enjoy the coast, because you get amazing sunsets over the land out there. That's Towin Headland, connected to Newquay. Yeah, just one of the best spots up here. There's a festival going on right now on the Barrow Fields, which is the Eats and Beats Festival, a free event which you can go to, listen to some music, have some good food, and they have all the inflatables for the kids up here as well. So it's a pretty cool place to come and spend a summer day. It does get hot up here, which is why we love the beach. But check out these views you get. I'm going up this hill now. Let's have a look. Look at that. I mean, did you know that this kind of scenery was in the UK? Because I didn't. When I first came here, 2013, I was just mind blown. It's really, really beautiful, and it's just keeps growing on me every time I come back here. It's a really special place. It's so pretty. And then down on the water, on the beachfront, you've got access to loads of little rock pools, little caves. You just have to be very careful that you don't get caught by the tide. As the tide comes in over the next 5 hours, it is going to isolate some of those coves. So you don't want to get caught in one of those when that tide comes in. But this place up here is just, we've got all this for the kids. There's the festival going on, there's a circus tent up there. And like I said, this area all here, can't build on it, so over the road is where they've got all the buildings here. Some of them need to be knocked down. There's a little bit of there's a bit of construction to be done here in Newquay still that I know they have been developing over the past few years, and particularly some of the buildings along there have been knocked down already, and they've started to build new ones, which is good to see. But often it is met with a lot of criticism and people sort of protesting, because a lot of people don't like change here, which can make it quite difficult for development companies to come in and sort of revitalise the place. But it is slowly changing. I guess the middle ground is kind of trying to develop the area while also keeping true to like the traditional building methods, original Cornish stone, kind of, you know, face work on the buildings and stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act. But I just love this place, it's so great. We swim most days down off the rocks down here, do a lot of snorkeling, and you see a lot of sea life out there as well, which is just so enjoyable. You can get in the water and swim with seals. They're generally really friendly. They might come up and sort of give you a little tickle on your flippers if you got flippers on. They're very like inquisitive creatures. I've never had a bad experience with a seal. You know, sometimes they can swim very fast around you and it can be kind of frightening, but generally they're just interested in you, and they're probably wondering, because they see a lot of people in the water and they're wondering why you've got flippers on, I guess. So sometimes they'll just like bite onto the flippers. But yeah, I've had many beautiful experiences out in this bay here, the Newquay Bay, and the coastline. You can walk the coastline basically all the way around Cornwall as well, which is something that I long to do eventually at some point in my life. You can walk all the way around the whole coast. It's a 630-mile coastal path, and yeah, it's something that I will do one day, at one point in my life, when we have a bit more free time maybe. But yeah, what a place. So Newquay does have a bit of a reputation when it comes to the kind of seedy party lifestyle scene, I guess. There's a lot of bars and sort of clubs in Newquay, and over the past decade or so we've seen a bit of a change in that, because it used to be so popular with stag and hen do, so people would come down here from up country, you know, with 10 to 20 mates that all wear silly costumes, and they'd wander around town in groups and get drunk and just do silly things. And it was kind of like, it was something that I think the locals got really annoyed with. So then bars and some of the pubs, they started to implement like bans basically on the group, so that they couldn't come into the establishments if they were a part of the stag do or the hen do. So that has kind of helped to change the atmosphere here in Newquay, definitely like in the like weekends and the holiday periods. It's been nice to see, and yeah, it's kind of like evolving its reputation from being a place that's a great place to come and just get trolleyed to a place that's much more like into health and wellness and like nature and being outdoors, and I guess like all the good things in life, you know, the positive things, positive addictions, and you know, like being addicted to going surfing all the time, or being addicted to going to the gym. There's quite a few gyms that have popped up. There's a huge amount of places and people here who take yoga classes as well as a lot of meditation. There's heaps of saunas popping up, sort of all over the place. So in Newquay, I really feel like the whole culture around this place is evolving and kind of growing up, getting more into the health and wellness, and I really like that. Maybe it's just the fact that the local people here are just growing up, and they're figuring out that you know, they're not so much into just drinking a lot and getting trolleyed and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So maybe it's just that, and the local people are like doing different business ideas. But yeah, in general, it's a positive change, and yeah, it's really nice to see. We're really enjoying like how Newquay is growing up, what we've seen over the past decade anyway. But yeah, it did have a really really bad reputation, especially around Cornwall from other towns. You know, like other towns would say like, oh no, don't go to Newquay because it's just like full of hen do's and stag do's and full of drunks and stuff, so people would avoid it. But you know, on our other channel and I guess here, I'm trying to sort of like show people and tell people that the whole, you know, atmosphere is changing here in Newquay. There is still a bit of that, don't get me wrong, like there is big festivals and stuff that go on here, but to be honest, I find that, and we've heard this as well from people who like work in different jobs and work with younger people in the community, local people, that younger people are like less interested in drinking, which may be something that's kind of happening around the world. I think maybe with social media, there's more of an emphasis on people taking care of themselves, taking care of their bodies, making healthy choices for themselves. I do feel like that's becoming very like popular and trendy to do on social media. So yeah, maybe that's part of the reason, but I mean, it's nice, isn't it, to just less people abusing their bodies and poisoning themselves, and more people taking care of themselves, taking care of their bodies, and yeah, it's just good. This is actually the gym that I go to up here. This is the K2. Now this used to be a nightclub, a huge building. I think it was once a water slide, like a pool area, but now it's all transitioned to a gym, and it's right on the beachfront here, so you got access to Great Western, and that's the Great Western Hotel, another place where you can go and get food right down on the beach. They have like silent discos and stuff like that as well. Like, it's a really happening place in summer. They have loads of events on, yoga down on the beach, but yeah, all the beaches are like lifeguarded as well, so it's just a really great place to come and like just be. You can spend the whole day at the beach actually. And all of these places along the front, they have this incredible view. One of the places that's super popular to go, Secret Garden. This is a pizza shop, and they've just got this amazing view. Same with this place. A lot of these places along here, they just sit right on the cliff top and look over Great Western and over Newquay Bay. You can see right out to Towan Headland, and you actually, in the summertime, you get the sunset right over Towan Headland. It's one of the most beautiful places to just watch the sunset from, is this side of Newquay over the headland. There's actually a main beach here in Newquay called Fistral Beach. That's where they have like a lot of the surf competitions, and part of the big Boardmasters Festival, which is the annual big festival that comes to Newquay every year. They have like the surfing section down there. They have a whole kind of like food and events, and like a little bit of like skateboarding competitions, and yeah, that's actually another really good place to go and watch the sunset as well, because you're right on the beach, and usually there's like really nice waves there. It's kind of like a bit of a dream. This place we are in right now is the Aldi car park, and you're probably wondering, why are you taking me to the Aldi car park? But it's possibly one of the best Aldi car parks in the country. The view from here is, I mean, I can only show you really. Look at this. You get around the corner, got the car park here, and then boom, there's the little Great Western surf hire shops and cafe, little bar. All the people down there enjoying themselves, and yeah, you've just got this amazing 180-degree view of the coastline, and these cliffs down here, very typical. Big cave in there. Again, be careful if you go in there when the tide's coming in, because it will trap you. And then you can see down here as well. So this is towards Towan Beach, which is the main beach, and then the harbour. But obviously very popular. And just a stunning day for Newquay. This is beautiful. I really was waiting to like film this video to show you. You know, like I wanted to show Newquay off in the best possible light, because it can get windy here, can get blustery, and the weather conditions are not always like this. So yeah, I tried to pick a good day. So I hope you are enjoying the sunshine through the screen. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about in this video is just how expensive it is getting. And I can't actually say if it's just in Newquay or if it's kind of all over. I do get the feeling like it is all over, but I feel like in Newquay, because it's such a like holiday destination, that some people are taking advantage of the situation and putting the prices up just because they know that the tourists are going to pay. Like, people are coming down for their holiday, they spent thousands of pounds to be here for the week, and they're going to make the most of it. If a coffee is going to cost, you know, near on 10 Australian dollars, £5, then, you know, so be it. They'll just pay it, take it on the chin. But I just noticed that because when I do my, if I buy anything in the UK, I use an Australian credit card, so I see the transaction come through in Aussie dollars, and it freaks me out sometimes because we'll buy something and it'll show me in Aussie dollars, and I think to myself, if I got told, for example, if I went out and had like avocado on toast and a coffee in Australia, like we were there just earlier this year, if we did that and we, you know, me and my partner, and spent $50, that would be like fairly normal. But then here, you know, we're going out and we're doing the same thing. Coffee, breakfast, basic stuff, avocado on toast. And when it comes up in my Aussie bank account, it's like $60, $70, which we would never do like just on a whim. And in Australia, like, we might do that if it was like a special occasion. If we were, say, like it was a birthday or anniversary, we'd treat ourselves to somewhere nice and fancy. We'd go and, you know, splurge a little bit. But this is just like random places. And to be honest, like, the food quality doesn't quite match the price that you're paying, unfortunately. But speaking of coffee and speaking of prices, this is one of the places which I go to all the time. It's Nalu, favorite little coffee spot, and I'm gonna grab a coffee because I deserve one. I'm back.
Hey.
How's it going? Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
Have you got a day off tomorrow, or?
I haven't got a day off for 7 days.
Oh no.
No, I probably do because I'm surf coaching this week and the waves are so big.
Hopefully you get a day off.
I will.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. See you later.
So yeah, lovely crew in there, Nalu. They do good food. It's, you know, it is the average prices here in Newquay, and yeah, it is a little bit expensive. If you want good coffee in Newquay and you want cheap, the best place I found is actually the gym. You don't even have to be a member there, you can just go in, and they do £2 coffees, which is cheap. That's $4 in Aussie. £2 coffees, full barista. It's great. Yeah, I recommend it if you're looking for a cheap place to get coffee. They have a coffee card as well, so like I think it's like every 7 or 9 coffees you get a free one. So yeah, that's my recommendation if you're just looking for the cheapest coffee in town. And speaking of town, we're kind of coming into it now. This is like, you know, the start of it really, where it starts to get, I think there's a one-way system here, and it's just like all the town shops, your high street and everything. But yeah, things are kind of changing over the years because people can't afford, I guess, to do a lot of shopping. So like businesses are failing over the years, and there's a few places that are empty. There's new places that come in and take those spaces. But you'll see, it's changing. So right in front of me is one of the main hotels here in Newquay, the Hotel Victoria, and it's recently shut down. And part of it as well is like another restaurant. They've got a restaurant inside. There's an Irish bar, which was part of it, and they have a club downstairs. That is all shut down. I think there is a bit of a redevelopment going on here. So hopefully, in the future there will be something here, because it's like, again, all of these places are in such prime locations here in Newquay, just overlooking the cliff and the whole bay. I mean, those locations are great whether the weather's good or bad, because if sometimes you can just come, you know, to one of those cafes or restaurants, or, you know, if you're staying at the hotel on a stormy day, and it's like one of the most cozy things is to be somewhere really nice and toasty and warm, and just watch the stormy waves come in and crashing against the cliffs while you sit above and just watch. But yeah, this is Newquay. This is sort of the main area on a bank holiday. On it's Monday, so Monday afternoon, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so probably most places are sort of shutting down, and then maybe the restaurants and bars will stay open till later. But yeah, it's changing. This place right here, that's a new addition. So this is an Artisan's Emporium. They've got a bit of there's a cafe, indoor golf, some new things going in. And then another place we've discovered recently is the Wave House Church Cafe. It's in this church right here. And yeah, it's just like a really, really nice space. Like, you know, it's in that majestic big cavity of a church, but they've got a cafe in there, and it's really, it's a really nice place to work. They've got decent internet and good food, good coffee. They do organic bread and organic eggs and things like that. So if you're looking for a nice breakfast spot in Newquay, then that's something that I would recommend. Something you'll see a lot of in Newquay, and I think in general in towns around the UK, is charity shops. I think there's something to do with, like, they don't have to pay as high a rent, or they don't pay, you know, as high taxes or something like that. So they basically, the chances of them staying in that location is much more likely than, say, like a random shop selling like beach toys or anything like that. So there's a lot of charity shops on the main high street of Newquay. But yeah, some nice venues here. This place here, Mix, it's like a cafe bar, and they've also got a co-working space in there. Now that's something that we see a lot of around Newquay as well. There's a lot of places that offer co-working, and that is, I see that as a good and a bad thing, because you get a lot of people coming down to Newquay on good salaries. You know, like a good London salary. They might be, I don't know, working in finance, or maybe in the law industry, or, you know, anything that gets, you know, paid above the average Cornish salary, which I think is around about £30,000, maybe a little bit less, maybe like between 25 and 30,000 pounds a year. Now these people coming down, you know, they might be on, I don't know, 50 to 100k a year. Now their disposable income is obviously going to be much different to someone who lives here in Newquay, who's grown up here and has got a job with a normal, you know, Cornish business, whether that's in retail, or they might be running a tour operation or something like that. Now, yeah, the spending power is obviously much different. These people who are coming down to Newquay to live, to work in these co-work spaces, they're going to be able to rent properties at a much higher rate than a lot of other people. So for that reason, I see a lot of property prices going up and up and up here, and it is a little bit of a scary thing, especially if you're a local person here. All the prices, you know, around you are going up and up and up, and your wages are not, you know, going up at the same rate. So yeah, it is a bit of a concern, and I don't know what the solution is with that. But now that remote work is such a, you know, like a normal thing, I guess, for a lot of businesses, it's like a possibility for a lot of people, then that's kind of like the situation that we're in. But we're in the main part of the high street now. This is like the main sort of square. You can see all the shops around, and I'll take you through the high street. We'll head around to one of the spots where we go for a swim. So I think that is actually part of the reason why prices are going up as well, is because people who are moving down here, they can, afford to pay these prices for food, for drinks, nights out, experiences, and even like just commodities you need for your house. They can afford to pay these higher prices, and because they can, the businesses are fine to put the prices up because they're still getting that custom coming in. Now, unfortunately, the people who aren't on these higher wages from, say, London, or they might be from Germany or wherever, like they've come to work in Newquay and work remotely, then they're kind of priced out. They're not able to keep doing the things that they sort of like got used to doing, I guess, over their adult life. And they kind of have to adapt, whether that's like try and generate some more income somehow, which is hard to do if you're in a full-time job, with a bit of a like capped ceiling. You can't do much about that. But yeah, people are having to be a bit more creative. Like a lot of my friends here, they do multiple different things. Like some of them do like, whether it's coaching for other people, or they do like, say, like one job at one part of the day. They might be a surf coach, and then they might be a yoga teacher, and then they might work in a cafe, or there's people just do like a whole variety of different things to get by here in Newquay. Which is interesting. It's a challenge, and I've seen a lot of people like come and go from Newquay over the years. That's the high street of Newquay anyway. There's some really nice like historic buildings there, and I kind of hope that they do open some of those buildings up for like community spaces and maybe even like residential spaces in the future, because a lot of them are actually owned by these generational families in Cornwall who just don't have any incentive to use the space, so the space just kind of it stays empty basically, because they don't have an incentive to really occupy it. Like it's hassle and paperwork, and there's a lot of spaces in town which are kind of just unused. And when you have like that compared with like a housing crisis and a cost of living crisis here in the UK, it kind of makes sense to just, all right, well, let's utilise that space differently. So hopefully, over the coming years, things change. But this is another little interesting part of Newquay. We've got like the central pub here, down to Towan Beach, and obviously a lot of surf shops, a couple of bars, cute little juice shack here. It's an interesting little place Newquay is, that's for sure. I think another thing that's happening with generally like prices around the world is that companies, and like particularly big companies, big organizations like supermarkets and even mobile phone providers, utility providers, everyone has kind of figured out the way to sort of walk the prices up incrementally to a point where people don't really notice the price going up. But then within the space of a year, 2 years, 3 years, the prices are much more. It might be like an extra 10, 20% rather than just like keeping in line with inflation. I just see that as something. I've watched a couple of like mini documentaries on the subject, and it's just something that's kind of happening all over. A really good example of this was the American egg industry. There's some really good data. It's all public data as well, so it's like there was a journalist who sort of researched the history of pricing, and they basically figured out that what they were doing was just walking the prices up incrementally at this sort of slow rate that people didn't really complain about when they were making their weekly purchase. But over the course of the year, 2 years, 5 years, the prices have just gone up and up and up, and to the point where people can't afford like the basic necessities, which is it's obviously not an ideal situation. And then you see these companies making record profits year after year. The investors are obviously very happy, but yeah, the customers, they're the ones who are footing the bill, and it's not an ideal situation. This is like a really great little bowling green overlooking the bay. Not in use today, but it is lovely. And then you can look over Towin Beach down here as well. It's a great little spot. Lots of these little places around. I think this is a very English thing, these arcades. I never ever have quite understood what the appeal is. It's essentially it's pokies for kids. It's just all of that like flashing lights, stimulation. Yeah, it's too much. I've never ever enjoyed being in one of those. We've taken our nephews in a couple of times and just every single time been like, it's overwhelming. But people do it. People take their kids in there, and usually there's a child in there having a tantrum. I'm guessing that they're overstimulated. But yeah, not my thing. I think what has happened is like over the years, it's like a generational thing. My mother, my grandmother, my father used to take me there, so then I take my kids there, and it just, you know, the cycle repeats. Here we got the Towin Beach. This is the main beach here in town, and the tide is obviously still out. The harbour's down here as well, with absolutely no water in it. I think we've got some extreme tides at the moment. They're like the spring tides, where they're quite to the maximum and the minimum of the full range. So you can see down there, yeah, the tide is right out. Look how much beach we have. And the water comes all the way up to the wall here from back there. Great little beach though. Surf lifeguards here. You can probably hear the surf lifeguards on the speaker. And then down on the waterfront there, you've got lots of little food vans, coffee shops, surf hire, surf schools. Basically everything you need really for a day at the beach. But yeah, this is Newquay in the summertime on a good day. Some really good smells coming out of some of these restaurants. Haven't been into this one. This one's a new one, and I've never been into the Harbour Rest either. But they look like great little places. This place here, Cory Kitchen, owned by a Kiwi guy, Ollie, and he's a really cool dude. The food in there is really good, like some of the best food that we've had in Newquay. They do, yeah, good options for most dietaries, so vegan or vegetarian, or I think they might even offer some gluten-free options. But yeah, good stuff in there if you're looking for a good snack to take down to the beach or the harbour. That's one I would recommend as well. It's a Newquay Activity Centre. It's another place you can hire wetsuits. Hey, there's Jack. Hey, brother. One of the guys who teaches in the surf school here. Probably in and out all day. This will be one of the busiest weekends of the year for them. With weather like this, you know, I'm sure that they're fully booked, which is good for business for them. Now we've got some new artwork popping up around Newquay, which is quite cool as well. I'll show you one of the main pieces. They've got QR codes with them, so you can scan and learn a little bit more about the artist. But this one here is like an old fisherman mending his fishing net, because historically this place is like a fishing village that's just grown and grown over the years to be this huge town of, you know, 20-odd thousand people, maybe, you know, more now. And it's like sustained on fishing. It had a completely different name in the past. It was called Towin Blistra, and yeah, that stuck until they built a new harbour there, which is where, you know, we can see the harbour down there, next to the main beach, and it was a new quay. So then they changed the name to Newquay, and that's how Newquay came to be known as Newquay and not Towin Blistra. Towin Blistra, I think, is like a typical Cornish There's like a very Cornish meaning. I think it's something to do with like sand blowing or something like that. But yeah, Cornish, the language, I believe, is probably under threat from being lost as well, because I don't think many people speak Cornish anymore. Not like Irish or Welsh or one of the other like Celtic languages, unfortunately. So it's one of those ones that might end up disappearing if we don't do something about it. You can see the stonework here on some of these buildings. These are obviously very traditional. This stonework, you'll see it in the cliffs. I mean, that's the same kind of stones that have been quarried here for generations and built a lot of these buildings up before they have been modernised. But yeah, this is one of the intersections leading off to Fistral Beach down here. We've got the Red Lion, the pub where I meet all my friends most mornings. 7:30, meet outside this pub and we wander down this path. I'll take you down there and show you one of the spots we swim. Really, really beautiful location, and it's generally pretty sheltered from the waves as well. But here we've got a really good view actually of the harbour. You can see how empty it is and how full it could be if the water was in there. Down there, you can see those waves in the bay. It's just making that beautiful curve around that bay to all the beaches there. And down at the harbour as well, we've also got there's quite a few little places down there that offer food and drinks and things. You can get fish and chips down there. You know, most Cornish harbours, they offer tours as well. You can go on a boat tour around from the harbour, mostly during like the high tide or like at least the mid-tide point when there's water in the harbour. And yeah, it's a good spot down there to like have a drink in the evening. In the summertime it can be quite nice and warm, summer evenings down here, and yeah, you can just sort of enjoy watching the boats bob around in the harbour, have some good food. It's one of those places where you order from a QR code at a table. You get the menu of all the different restaurants, so you can all, the whole group, whoever you're with, can all order exactly what you want without being restricted to one venue. But yeah, it's a great little spot down here. And then we have a working port, working cellars down here, active cellars. So this is where the fishermen come and load and unload. There's still people fishing here, every sort of day in and day out. And you can get a bit of a stench around here as well. Luckily it doesn't translate through the camera lens to your screen, because it can be quite horrific, the smell of fish decomposing. I guess they use a lot of chum, like fish parts that are discarded in catching some of the fish and stuff, so that's why they smell. But yeah, this is actually part of the coastal pass, so we're just sort of wandering around. A little cottage here which has got great views down here. And then this is one of the spots where we'll swim. So you can go a couple of different locations off here. There's like rocks that we like to swim off and jump off down here. And then over on this spot here, you've got this big platform. A lot of people do fishing down here, but generally only at high tide. That's when you can catch fish down here. But I might, it is actually so hot. I could definitely be tempted to jump in. I'll go down and have a look. How's it going? Yeah, good. This is one of the spots you can see seals quite regularly. Especially when there's fishermen here, they'll come to this spot here and they'll wait for the fishermen to throw them a bit of food, a bit of fish that they've caught. But yeah, it's actually not looking as clear as it has been over the past little while. But you've got these steps down here which lead right down to the water. And often you'll just see a seal hanging around these rocks, swimming around. They might come up along here during the day sometimes, but yeah, generally mornings and evenings they're kind of hanging around, but I guess it depends on the tide as well. But yeah, this is where we jump in. This is the spot. There's some great snorkeling around here as well. You can just kind of go all around the coast and diving, you know, go into some of the caves around. Yeah, it's a really beautiful place to be in nature. I mean, just look at the landscape. I've been out here before with the, I don't know if you know what this is, but an underwater sea scooter. It's basically propellers on a device that you can hold onto. And I've been out here sort of snorkeling around in the morning, and there's been dolphins in the bay, and you can hear them clicking and talking to each other. And so I've raced out there to try and catch them, but they're very quick. And I've had seal encounters down here. Right here, I've been within arm's distance of a seal. They're just not bothered. They're like really like friendly and kind of inquisitive. But I've never had a seal kind of like attack me or look like it's going to attack me. I did have a couple of young pups one time, like kind of following me and kind of nipping around me, going in circles like they were stalking me, but I think they were just playing. That was the first like big seal encounter I had here in Newquay. That was a few years ago, and since then I've just been like a massive advocate for just coming down, jumping in the water like every morning, often bringing a snorkel mask just in case there's wildlife out there. You know, we've seen a lot of crabs out here, especially when the water gets warmer. Crabs all kind of pile onto each other and they'll molt out in the bay here, so you can get piles of hundreds and hundreds of crabs. Yeah, so the crabs will be down here molting in big packs. I think they do it because it's like safer to be in a pack of 100 crabs rather than molting your soft skin, you know, just by yourself. I think seals will sometimes pick up the crabs, especially when the shells haven't hardened after they're freshly molted. But yeah, great place to have encounters with nature here in Newquay. The coast paths are beautiful around here. Got all the cliffs. This headland continues around, so you can go around the headland towards Towan Headland, which we saw from one of the other cliffs up there, the Barrowfields, and you can walk all along it and then end up at Fistral Beach, which I might. Should we go up there? Should we have a look? I feel like you guys need to see it because it is beautiful, and you will get to experience some more of Newquay, which is what you're here for. You want to see what it's all about, so let's go and check it out. So one of the other really popular things to do here in Newquay is coasteering. It's very common, especially for younger people, to jump on a coasteering guided tour around the coastline. I think often they start from here because the shops are just sort of back above the harbour. Where we saw the Newquay Activity Centre, we saw my friend Jack, that's where they go from. So they come down here, it's got to be the right tide obviously. They'll jump in the water, they've got full wetsuits and helmets and everything, and basically they'll swim around the whole coast and they'll find different places, different cliffs. They've got them all marked outside the shop actually, so you can go and see where all the locations are. If you don't know the area, just take a photo and you can find all the cliff jumps, all the ones that they know and they do anyway. There are some other ones, there's some extreme ones which I can show you if you want. But yeah, some great cliff jumping around here, and the coastiers, they'll take people in. I guess for a lot of people it's a bit of a like fear conquering, isn't it, to jump off a cliff into the water. For me myself, it's just the enjoyment, the thrill, the adrenaline. So I'll often jump in when the tide's right at different places here, especially down there. Some great little jumps. But yeah, like I said, if you want to find all the locations where you can cliff jump, go to the Newquay Activity Centre. They've got a board out the front with a map and you can just pinpoint all the locations where you want to go. We're still right in the town centre here in Newquay. This is like, I don't know, 5 minutes from the harbour, which is the central point. And oh, you can see some coasteering guys over there actually. See, they're on the cliffs. Now that's one of the spots down there, one of the big spots. I might go and ask them if they jump it, because it's a biggie. I've seen some young kids do it, but I'm a bit scared to do it myself. I do really want to. Just need to go on the right day with the right crew. Look at this. Look at this. This uninterrupted nature. What a treat. What an absolute treat. Hey brother. Okay. You guys jumping?
We've been coasteering, yeah. Cliff
yeah?
jumping, yeah, I've been doing it just then.
Did you go off the big one?
Jumped, yeah, just off here, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the kids had to go as well.
Shit, yeah. How high is that?
I don't know, 20, 30 metres, 30 foot.
What is something like?
30 foot.
How high was the highest one you jumped?
Highest jump today was probably about 20 feet.
Well done.
20 feet.
Yeah,
well done.
Good.
So that one just there?
7 metres. It's a little pool that's over in that direction. You
Okay.
can do it low tide.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can't do it at high tide?
It kind of gets covered up at high tide.
Okay.
At high tide though, this whole gully becomes a jump.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick.
But check all jumps first.
Yeah, sure.
I did not condone jumping onto
Yeah,
rocks.
don't start jumping now.
Oh, awesome.
Alright guys.
Thank you. Oh, there you go. So that's just a family, husband, wife, and their few kids, taking the kids out for a coasteering adventure with a guide. That's the kind of, like childhood, summertime activity I would have in New Zealand, doing something extreme like that, going off, doing whitewater rafting. So it's really nice to see. I'm trying to suss out where they've just been and where they've just jumped. Because I'll show you this. This is a cliff and a half. I'm gonna I'll put my drink down and I'll show you this spot. Probably not there, but maybe one of these spots along here. I mean, that looks probably too shallow right now, but look at the water. You can see the seaweed through there. Seals often hang around here as well. You can see I think that might be someone snorkeling out there, or maybe spearfishing with their little boy. Oh, there's a seal. I can see one there. Just floating in the water. I feel like that's the big boy that I always run into when I'm swimming in the morning, just around the corner. You can tell seals gender based on their face, their structure. So the males generally have like a big flat face, and the females are a bit more pointed. But yeah, I just love this side of Newquay. Is so beautiful, how you can just get in nature, swimming with seals, cliff jumping. And so at high tide, obviously you've seen how much the tide comes in on the beach. I think it travels around about 6 meters from low tide to high tide. So you can imagine that water there is obviously too shallow. It might be like a couple of meters, too high for this jump right now, but add 6 meters on top of that and that's like a really, really safe jump. In terms of water depth, it's still quite high. You don't want to make sure that you land correctly, but look at that. And then the cliff, the coastline here. So this is Towin Headland over here. We've got the Headland Hotel, which used to be a hospital during the war. I think they converted it into a infirmary for soldiers. And yeah, it's just such a great location. I mean, it's so beautiful. And the sunsets over here. I mean, even this for a sunset spot. Sit here, watch the sun setting over the headland here. Just beautiful, so picturesque. Such a beautiful part of the country here in the UK, because I know England gets a lot of bad rap for just being kind of like downtrodden and desolate, and you know, there are some parts of it that I don't enjoy so much. You don't often hear people saying they're going to like an English food restaurant, for example. It's not like a celebrated cuisine, is it? But yeah, there's a lot of beauty here, there is. You just gotta have to look for it. So this is one of the spots here you can do a bit of jumping off. There's a seal hanging around somewhere. Someone's diving down there. A lot of fishermen hang out here as well. There's a lot of fish here. Obviously Newquay sustained a population for a number of generations, and they'd have someone stationed up here, actually just up here on top of the hill, looking out for, I think it was the pilchard. So they called, I think that person who sat up there had like a call that they would do, announcing to the people in town that there were fish, big schools of fish coming into the bay. Not 100% sure how they saw them. Maybe it's to do with the seagulls or something like that. But they'd sit up here at this white house up here, little fireplace in there, and they'd just sit up here watching over the bay, maybe looking out for seagulls diving into the water, or you know, some activity in the water, and they'd shout out. I think they shouted Hewer maybe, and that's why it's called the Hewer's Hut. So yeah, this place has sustained a population with seafood for many generations, and I know it's not so popular now eating seafood. I guess like, yeah, people have kind of like overindulged, or overfishing is a big problem. But yeah, here's Hewer's Hut. It's just a little house that someone would sit in and watch over the bay. Cute little fishing boat out there. Yep, going out for the daily catch. But yeah, overfishing, big fishing trawlers, all that kind of stuff. The industrialization of fishing has led to the depletion and sort of the breaking down of some of the food chains out here that have sustained, you know, people in the area, which is a shame. But I guess it's good we realize it now before it goes too far. This is one of the nicest spots to walk along here. Look at this. Up on the cliff top, a beautiful path, a lot of green space, and underneath us there are actually a network of tunnels, smugglers' tunnels, and it's part of the history here. There were pirates. Cornish pirates is a bit of a, I guess it's a bit of a myth and folklore, but there were people that were smuggling goods. I'm not sure exactly what they were smuggling, but they would smuggle goods. And some of the hotels here as well, they would have tunnels to get stuff down, well, to their hotels from the water. So some of these tunnels here, you can find them. I guess if you were doing a coasteering tour, they might point them out to you. But there's some places in the cliffs with tunnels that lead into, and if you go down to Tolkien Beach, between Tolkien Beach and Towan Beach, Great Western Beach and Towan Beach, there is a tunnel which leads to one of the hotels. It's gated off, so you can't go in there, but it's you know, one that you can see quite easily, more easily than some of the ones down here, because I've been to one down here. You kind of have to climb up one of the rocks, one of the cliff sides to get to it. I can see there's some flippers down there, so someone is exploring down there. It's just a great place to go and explore this cliff area here. And the colour of that water, isn't it just gorgeous? It's so pretty. And I reckon it's because we get to see it from that. If the sun was over that side, all you'd get is reflection, which you get on the south coast of Cornwall. And the south coast of Cornwall is sort of at the bottom of the English Channel as well. So you do get, I guess there's a lot more population, there's a lot more runoff into the water. And I find that the south coast of Cornwall, the water's a little bit more murkier. And I think it's for that reason. But when the water gets like this here, you know, after a few, I mean, it's generally quite clean, but when you get a lot of, you know, waves and stirring up of the water, everything kind of gets loose and it gets a little bit murky in there, but you still get nice blue turquoise waters. If it's still for a couple of days, grab your snorkel mask, jump in and just go around the coast, because it's just like incredible snorkeling. You'll have encounters with seals, no doubt. You'll see crabs. I've seen huge box jellyfish out there. Yeah, plenty of fish, and yeah, lots of other little creatures in the ocean. Such a good little path. I mean, this is the reason why I would love to do the Southwest Coast Path. There's 630-mile path around the whole county, even other counties as well. It extends that far. But because of this, I mean, would you not want to just walk around this land like this for months? I guess the tricky thing is doing it when the weather's nice, because quite often the weather can be blustery, it can be windy, it can be cloudy and stormy. But when you get days like this, I think you would just appreciate it so much. It's unreal, this place. You can see right why Newquay has like grown on me so much over the past decade. Because it's just, you know, we're living in the township here, but we just have such immediate access to this. And it's something that we have to keep reminding ourselves. Like, I know with my wife and I, and also a few friends I've spoken to about the same thing. We went out the other night for just a drink and a catch up at the beach bar here at Fistral Beach, and yeah, we were having a drink, and one of my friends there, she was sending photos to her other friends who were coming down on holiday from up north, and her friends were saying to her, "Oh my God, what is that place? Where are you guys?" And she said, "Oh, this is just our local beach bar that we never really go to. We don't really go there that often. Like, I guess it's a special occasion, or I don't know, like it's not a place that we normally go to, but we've got so many of these amazing places, like Secret Garden, for example. I haven't been there this summer, but the sunsets from there are incredible. The food's good. I guess part of it is just being mindful about how much you're spending. You know, there's always stuff to do when you're working on your own business and you kind of get busy, but we do have to remind ourselves to get out there and enjoy it, and, you know, watch sunsets and watch sunrises and all that kind of stuff, because otherwise we'll miss it. So yeah, this is more than anything else a reminder to myself, but maybe a reminder to you as well, to get out and enjoy, you know, the beautiful spaces that you have around you, you know, that you have access to. All of these little coves, all of these little places that we've been past today, they're all fantastic places to just go and grab a bite to eat or have a drink and watch the sunset. And quite often we'll just have dinner at home and chill and miss out on it. So I'll try and get out more often. So this is another little cliff jump spot. More at high tide, but you can jump off here down into there, add a few meters of water in there and you're fine to jump off. Lots of seaweed, little mini kelp forests in there to dive through. And since living here over the past few years, on and off, we've kind of accumulated lots of toys and bits and pieces to explore the water with as well. The most recent addition is we've got a snorkel mask with a battery pack, and it's got like a electric circuit in the lens which stops the mask from fogging up, which is quite cool. And we've also got a little mini scuba tank, so I can go underwater and just kind of like hang out there for like 5 to 10 minutes. Not too deep, but yeah, we've got that, and then the sea scooter that I mentioned before is loads of fun, because you can just go underwater, have one of those things, and you kind of just hold your breath, or you can use the scuba tank to just cruise around, explore, play with seals. We've got all these little bits and pieces, as well as like, you know, other snorkel masks and fins and things like that, but I feel like we do make the most of it out here, especially being in the water. Though it's my favourite part about this place is just how accessible and I guess safe the water is as well, because we don't really have any predators or you know, sharks. I think there are sharks out here, but I think generally you're pretty safe out here. Probably the worst thing that you'll come across is you might get the like the box jellyfish come up from Europe, southern Europe, but yeah, generally it's pretty safe out there. Now we're getting a bit windy now because we're coming around to Fistral Beach, and this is Towan Headland, which kind of, so Towan Headland here, that's the point that we saw from the Barrafields. It's a little bit of a mound, and you've got a wave break out here, which I'm going to have to check out on Tuesday, Wednesday, when the big swell comes in. I think there's like 10 to 20 foot swells. Going to be pretty nuts. Sometimes people surf it out there, so we'll be checking that out. But you've got the wind here, you've got more exposure to the Atlantic Ocean from this side. That's another really important thing about Newquay, is because of Towan Headland here, you've got the bay on this side, which is actually really well protected, and I guess that's why it sustained itself as a population for so long, because it was protected and it was a safe sort of natural harbour where people could sort of like fish from. But this is much more exposed out here. You can see the tide's right out, there's a lot of rocks, and then you've got the main Fistral Beach, which we're coming around to now. Getting a little bit windy out here now, hope you can still hear me. But yeah, as we're coming around, we can see the historic Headland Hotel, that big behemoth of a building, recently gone under renovation, so there's some new parts of the hotel, new restaurants and a new spa up there, which we've been to. It's quite nice. And I think we stayed in winter actually, so we had a bit of like cold winter like blustery wind and stuff, but we stayed up right at the top of the hotel and just could enjoy the storm from the nice cozy room, which was very nice to do as well. There are lots of great little spots down here to sunbathe, and obviously when the tide comes in, the water comes right up here, covers all of these rocks, so you can have, you know, these tiny little coves, these little beaches, mini beaches really, that you can just enjoy as the tide comes in or as it goes out. And now you can see the famous Fistral Beach, and just look how many people. So there's obviously surf lifesavers are out there, and you've got hundreds of people down on the beach with the windbreaks on. There's a very British tradition of bringing a windbreaker down to the beach, marking your little plot on the sand for the day, and staking your claim. But it is a great beach. It's very famous for surfing. They have like an annual surf competition here, and yeah, people love to stay here through winter as well, because you get these like stormy swells that come in from the Atlantic Ocean, and the surfing here for people who are good at surfing is just like really incredible. And I think a lot of people get scared of how cold the water can be, but you know, you just put on a hood if you want, gloves and shoes. You can put little booties on to keep your feet warm, and yeah, you can spend hours out there in the water and be quite comfortable in the winter, even though it's freezing cold. We've done it in the winter where we've been swimming, doing the wild swimming thing, so just in swimmers, togs, bikinis, and it's a challenge to stay in there for 5 minutes, and we did it all through winter just to take part in the cold water, swimming movement that was going on at the time, and we found it really enjoyable, but it was pretty hard to stay in there. With a decent wetsuit, it's absolutely doable. And your reward for doing that is, you know, not to have all of these people here. If you do it in winter, you get a lot of the beach to yourself, and it'll just be the local people living here. You don't really get a lot of holiday makers here through the winter. But yeah, from here you can see just how many people have come down to spend the day at the beach on this bank holiday Monday. And this is, yeah, the beach bar. You've got pizza shop. I think you've got a Rick Stein's fish bar there. Yeah, a lot of things to do here. And then on the other side of Fistral Beach, you've got Pentai Headland, which is another headland that separates another beach, another incredible beach, Crantock. The Cornwall coast, the North Cornwall coast, is just full of these like golden sand beaches. So you're really, really spoiled for choice if you come to Cornwall and, you know, stay here for a summer or for a year, do a working holiday or whatever. It's a really beautiful place. I mean, you can't argue with all these people, right? It's a bit of a love-hate relationship with locals and the tourists, because for one thing, they do bring a lot of revenue and, you know, economic growth to the local community, but the infrastructure is not quite enough in terms of roads and water systems. They do have a lot of issues here with dealing with the influx of tourists every summer. So it's something that I think local governments are really working on, especially with the rise of popularity of the region through social media. It's something that they have to really work on to figure out how they're going to cope with the influx of tourists every year. But yeah, this is a great place to come for a sunset, and one that we don't come to enough. This pizza bar right here at Rick Stein. There's some surf shops as well, so you can do your, you know, get your surf lessons, get your gear, wetsuits, boards, anything you need. It's all here. And this is just like the main beach here in Newquay, but you can tell why it's so popular, why it's so famous. The surf's good and it's got all the facilities here. You just be prepared, obviously, to pay the premium that you have to pay to come here. There you go. Prime example. 30 odd people all queuing up for a coffee and a pasty. It's yeah, pretty busy. You can see up there the pizza bar, and then Rick Stein's just below it. Great views, really. Great views to enjoy food and a drink. Right, so just behind Fistral Beach is the main, well, the Newquay golf course. And again, it's just this huge, wide open expanse of land. Obviously, it's all private golf course, but you can walk through it, which is quite a nice, easy cut through to get back to town. So I'm going to do that as I head back up. So yeah, I probably need to watch out for rogue balls flying in. We've got a little protective net here, but it's a very popular golf course, especially on a day like today. But I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. I think that is pretty much all of Newquay I can show you in a day. I mean, a couple of hours wandering around. If you got any questions about Newquay or you need to know anything, you could check out our other channel, which is more informative and a bit more of a comprehensive guide to the area. Or you can leave a comment, I guess. If you want to leave a comment below, then just, yeah, I'll get back to it as soon as I can. And yeah, I hope to catch you on the next adventure, wherever that may be, who knows. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.